Having your team, stakeholders, or clients observe user research is a sure way of building a collective understanding of and empathy for your users. However, observers can distract or deter participants if the observation is not appropriately managed. Here are 3 tips for managing observers in both in-person and remote studies. Tip number 1, hide your observers if you can. If you're doing an in-person study, you can hide observers by running your session in a usability lab that has a dedicated observation room, or alternatively, streaming the session through a video conference call to another conference room. If your research is remote, certain user research platforms that have capabilities for moderated sessions provide a virtual observation room, which means the participant can't see who or how many people are observing the session. These approaches are useful when there are a lot of people who want to observe all at the same time. If you can't hide your observers, then limit the number of observers during a session. Usually 1 or 2 is the cap for in-person studies, but you may be okay having a few more if the study is remote. In these situations, I like to create a schedule with a capped number of observer slots. My observers can then choose sessions they'd like to observe, and this approach makes observation possible while keeping observer numbers to a minimum. If you're conducting research in person and you need to have your observers in the same room, you should seat the observers behind the participant so that they're not visible to them. Hopefully, the participants will forget the observers are there. Here are 2 in-person setups for a usability test and an interview. In both setups, the observer sits directly behind the research participant. Tip number 2, brief your observers not to interrupt. If your observers are in the same room as you, they should not ask the participant questions during the session. If they do, this can ruin the rapport you have with the participant and can make the participant feel like they're being interrogated. Your observers should also try to keep quiet if they are in the same room as the research participant. You may want to have your observers write notes on paper or sticky notes, rather than on their laptop to reduce that background noise. If your observers are remote, they should not come off mute during the session and should not use the public chat to ask questions during the session, as this could distract your participant. Tip number 3, communicate your plan for handling observer questions. Allowing observers the opportunity to ask questions allows them to feel part of the research. However, questions should only be asked at the end of the session. You can use a private social channel like Slack and have observers send you their questions so you can ask them at the end of the session for them. Alternatively, if you feel comfortable doing so, you can allow your observers to ask questions directly of the participant at the end of the session. Lastly, never disguise the fact that people will be observing the session. This is dishonest and unethical. You should always tell research participants if observation is taking place and if any of the people observing the session know the participant, such as a manager. This helps participants make a decision as to whether or not they want to take part and is an important part of informed consent. Follow these 3 simple tips to ensure observers get the most out of observation without jeopardizing your research.